This is not just a theory, okay? All around the world, not just here in the United States, depending on which state you live in, it could be highly regulated. In some states, it's a little less regulated, but all around the world, you're starting to see homeschooling programs more and more regulated and restricted under these guidelines. When you get to countries like Germany, it is virtually illegal. In some countries, you need very hard to get permits, and the curriculum and the education is strictly regulated. You have to meet up to the standards of their curriculum, whatever that might be, whatever indoctrination they're trying to push on your children, you're the one that's gonna have to implement it. But like I said, in countries where it's been able to flourish, like the United States, Canada, believe it or not, South Africa, homeschooling has flourished, and the statistics show that the homeschoolers are far exceeding the public schoolers. So why is there this push to regulate it? If they're already outperforming, the kids are already doing better, is equity in reverse? Are they saying that homeschoolers are being too smart and it's not equitable to the rest of society who goes to public school? I think that the intentions of COVID were very different, and homeschooling exploded after COVID. Many parents around the US, around the world, realized that they had the ability to educate their own children. They had been disassociated with that. They had been told that they couldn't teach their children. And in fact, it was very scary to a lot of parents when their children had to stay home. How do I teach my child? But they figured out that they actually have the ability to teach their own kids. This is a problem. So it was an unintentional consequence. It scared the bejesus out of bureaucrats. What they want to do is fold homeschoolers back into the system, take back control. They don't want this educational revolution to take place. They don't want that to happen. But it's happening. The problem with it happening is that they cannot manage it. They cannot manage those kids. They cannot manage the kids' upbringing. Right now, for those of you who send your kids to public school, do you know how much time those kids spend in the hands of the government every single day? Now, can you imagine what would happen if the kids in our countries spent that much time in the hands of their parents, caring parents, parents who are willing to put forth the energy and effort to educate their kids? Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, Trump pulled out of UNESCO. I don't really care about what happens with UNESCO. But let me remind you something. We elect a new president every so many years. And a lot of the times, the president, whoever is elected, will put us back into UNESCO. Heck, Bush put us in UNESCO. Of course, we're hearing a lot of negative things about Bush lately. But even if we are out of UNESCO, the influence doesn't end there. They have ways of influencing our educational communities, our state governments. This is an organization that has its tentacles running deep within society. Just because a president pulls out of UNESCO does not mean that UNESCO's influence is eliminated. That's not how it works. UNESCO sets the tone for global education policy. Their reports shape funding programs and best practices and international aid programs. So when they're telling the world that homeschooling must be regulated to the hilt, educational ministries, educational programs, future presidents are listening to them. Your local leadership is listening to them because they have established themselves as this global authority. I think for those of us who care about homeschooling, this matters more than ever.